Elena Gretsch lived in a limestone house on the edge of Medina, the silent city of Malta. The narrow streets outside her window were dimly lit by lanterns, their glow dancing across the cobblestones. The sea breeze drifted inland, carrying with it the faint scent of salt and kelp. For months, she had been trying to create a safe home for Sophia, her foster daughter of 7 years. The little girl was gentle, quiet, and often seemed to guard herself behind her large brown eyes. That evening, the house was filled with the soft sounds of bedtime. Elena brushed Sophia's long hair, her hand moving with care as she hummed an old Maltese lullaby her mother once sang to her. The room was warm, the small lamp glowing by the bedside. Everything felt calm until Elena noticed something that made her breath catch. On Sophia's arm was a faint bruise. It was not a scrape from play, nor the mark of an accidental fall. Elena's hand hovered in the air. When she gently pulled back the sleeve of Sophia's nightdress, another bruise revealed itself on her small shoulder. The sight made Elena's stomach twist. Her voice trembled as she leaned closer. "Sweetheart, how did you get these bruises?" Sophia froze. She did not look at Elena, but instead fixed her eyes on the blanket. Her tiny fingers clutched the fabric until her knuckles turned white. A long silence stretched between them before she whispered, almost too soft to hear. They are not from here." The words struck like a chill. The shutters rattled against the night wind, and for a moment Elena felt the house itself had grown colder. Sophia's gaze shifted toward the window as though someone might be outside, watching. Elena followed her eyes, but saw only shadows and the empty street below. Still, unease lingered, and Elena realized that the bruises carried with them a story Sophia was too afraid to tell. The silence in the room pressed down on Elena. She reached to tuck Sophia beneath the blanket, but the child flinched, as though expecting pain. Elena's heart ached, yet she kept her voice steady. "You are safe here. Nothing can hurt you in this house." Sophia shook her head. "You don't know," she whispered. "They can find me anywhere." A gust of wind rushed through the shutters, making them bang against the wall. Elena moved quickly to close them, but when she glanced outside, she thought she saw a figure at the far end of the street. A tall silhouette lingered in the shadows, too still to be mistaken for someone simply passing by. Her breath tightened. She drew the shutters closed and bolted them. When she turned back, Sophia was sitting upright, her eyes wide with terror. "Was someone there?" the girl asked, her voice sharp, almost panicked. Elena hesitated. "It was nothing, just the night." But her words sounded weak, even to herself. Sophia lay back, but her small body trembled under the blanket. Elena sat beside her, stroking her hair until her breathing steadied. Yet the unease refused to leave Elena's chest. The bruises, the whispered warning, the shadow outside. All of it painted a picture she did not yet understand. That night, sleep did not come easily. The silence of Medina, usually comforting, now felt like a veil hiding secrets in the dark. The next morning, sunlight spilled through the shutters, warming the stone walls. For a brief moment, Elena allowed herself to believe the fear of last night had been nothing more than a trick of her imagination. But as she prepared breakfast, Sophia entered the kitchen quietly, her face pale. Elena offered her bread and honey, yet the child barely touched it. Her eyes remained fixed on the table, and her hands shook as she lifted her cup. Elena crouched beside her. "Sophia, you can tell me the truth. No matter what it is, I will listen." Sophia's lips parted, but no words came. Instead, tears slid down her cheeks. Then, as if she had said too much already, she shook her head violently and whispered, "He told me never to speak." Elena's blood ran cold. She did not ask who he was, not yet. The fear in Sophia's voice made it clear the man was real, not a ghost of childhood imagination. Later that day, while Sophia played quietly in the corner, Elena searched through the paperwork she had received when Sophia came into her care. The files were thin, almost empty, as though someone had deliberately erased the child's history. There were no detailed medical records, no family background, nothing that explained the bruises. As Elena turned the last page, She found a faint pencil mark at the bottom, almost missed. Valletta Harbor, May 14th. The date was only a week away. Her heart pounded. Why was it written there? And what did it mean for Sophia? Elena could not ignore the note. The following afternoon, while Sophia napped, she took the bus to Valletta. The streets bustled with tourists, but the harbor carried an air of mystery. Fishing boats swayed gently, and larger ships loomed in the distance. She wandered the docks, scanning for anything unusual. Her eyes caught a rusted warehouse at the far end, its doors half open. Men lingered nearby, speaking in low tones. One of them glanced at her, his stare sharp and unwelcoming. Elena quickly turned away, her pulse racing. Before leaving, she noticed something painted faintly on the warehouse wall, the outline of a symbol, almost like a serpent coiled around a cross. She did not understand it, but something in her gut told her it mattered. When Elena returned home, Sophia was awake, her expression restless. "You went there," she said flatly, before Elena could even set down her bag. Elena froze. "How did you know?" Sophia's eyes filled with tears. "Because that is where he waits." The evening grew heavy, with silence. Sophia sat at the table, drawing with trembling hands. On the paper appeared the same serpent and cross symbol Elena had seen at the harbor. Elena's breath caught.
"Who taught you to draw that?"
Sophia's eyes flicked up. "Marco." The name carried weight. It rolled through the air like a storm cloud. Elena forced calm into her voice. "Who is Marco?" Sophia hesitated. He used to take me there. To the warehouse. He said if I ever spoke about it, he would come for me. Elena's hands shook, but she did not let Sophia see. Whoever Marco was, he had left marks not only on Sophia's skin but deep within her soul. That night, after Sophia was asleep, Elena sat by the window, staring into the dark. Every creak of the house, every whisper of the wind, felt like a warning. She knew the name now, but what power did it hold in the underworld of Malta? Days passed with unease thick in the air. Elena tried to keep life ordinary, but her eyes never stopped scanning the street. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, she noticed a man standing by the gate. He wore a dark coat despite the warm air, and his posture was too still, too deliberate. Elena stepped outside cautiously. "Can I help you?" The man smiled faintly, though his eyes remained cold. "Beautiful night, isn't it?" His accent was Maltese, roughened by years of salt and smoke. She said nothing, waiting. He tipped his head. "You must be Elena." And inside, the little one, Sophia. Elena's blood froze. She took a step back toward the door. "You should leave." The man's smile widened. "Tell her Marco remembers." Before she could speak, he turned and walked into the shadows, vanishing down the silent street. Elena rushed inside and locked every bolt. Sophia sat trembling at the top of the stairs, her face pale. "He sent someone, didn't he?" she whispered. Elena could not bring herself to lie. The fear inside the house grew heavier with each passing day. One morning, while cleaning Sophia's room, Elena found a small notebook hidden beneath the floorboard. Its pages were filled with shaky handwriting, clearly belonging to Sophia. The entries spoke of nights in the warehouse, of cold floors, harsh voices, and Marco's presence. There were drawings, too, of the serpent and cross symbol, of ships, and of doors locked from the outside. At the end of the diary, one page stood out. It held a single line. "On May 14th, he will take me back." Elena clutched the notebook, her heart pounding. That date was only days away. She realized the note in the file and the diary both pointed to the same moment. Marco was planning something. That night, Elena stayed awake, listening to Sophia's breathing. She promised silently that she would not let the man steal the child again, no matter the cost. Elena sought help, but trust was a fragile thing. The local authorities had failed Sophia before, allowing her history to be erased. Still, Elena went to a close friend, Father Damien, a priest in Dinah who had always offered her quiet support. In the Camelot Chapel, she told him everything. He listened with grave eyes, his hands clasped tightly. "This symbol," he said, pointing to her sketch of the serpent and cross. "It belongs to an old smuggling ring. They moved people as if they were cargo. Some say Marco is the one who keeps it alive." Elena's breath shook. "And he wants Sophia back." Father Damien nodded. "Because she knows too much." The plan formed quickly. On the night of the 14th, Elena would not run. She would face Marco, armed with the diary as proof. Father Damien promised to stand with her, but he warned the danger was greater than she imagined. The day arrived heavy with dread. The sky above Valletta darkened early, clouds rolling in from the sea. Elena and Sophia stayed close, their bags packed in case flight became necessary. As night fell, the sound of footsteps echoed in the narrow street outside. Elena's grip tightened on Sophia's hand. The clock struck midnight when a knock thundered at the door. "Open!" a deep voice commanded. "It is time." Elena held Sophia behind her and opened the door just enough to see the man. He was tall, his hair streaked with gray, his eyes burning with authority. She knew without question. This was Marco. He smiled coldly. "You have something of mine." Elena's fear threatened to choke her, but she stood firm. "She is not yours." Behind Marco, shadows moved. More men waited in the street, silent, ready. The air was thick with the certainty of what would come next. The room seemed to shrink as Marco stepped inside. His presence filled the house, his eyes sweeping the stone walls as though he had already claimed them. Sophia clung to Elena's arm, trembling. Marco's voice was smooth, almost mocking. "Little bird, you remember me, don't you? You remember the warehouse, the harbor, the games we played." Elena pulled Sophia closer. "She will not go with you." Marco's smile faded, replaced by steel. "You think you can stop me?" Elena's hand tightened around the diary. She held it up. "This is your downfall. Every word, every drawing, every mark she left. It will expose you." For the first time, Marco's confidence wavered. His eyes flicked to the diary, then to Sophia. Rage burned across his face. He lunged forward. In that instant, the church bells rang across Ndina, their echo piercing the night. From the doorway, Father Damien appeared, flanked by figures in uniform. At last, the shadows turned against Marco. The struggle was sudden, violent, but inevitable. The serpent of the past had finally coiled too tightly. And in the midst of it all, Elena held Sophia close, refusing to let go.